Check, 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 check. Good evening. Good evening. I hope y'all can see me. I apologize for the. It was muted. I apologize for the cameras and the lights, but I wanted to record this also for people who couldn't be here. Troy posted this on his social media, and several people was like, "Are y'all streaming?" I was like, "Nah," but I'll at least try to record it. So, because of the lights, I can hardly see some of y'all, but I can peek through and see you, and I think Troy can too. But we're gonna have a good time. I'm going to introduce Troy in a second, but I want to thank everybody who came out Thursday night, right before Thanksgiving break. I know that a lot of you probably have plans to be somewhere else, but we appreciate you coming here to be with us to meet our newest artist in residence, Troy Taylor. We're going to have a good discussion, and Troy is going to show us, he's going to actually show us some new content that he's working on, so we'll have a good time, and I'll give you a chance to ask questions, too, at the end. So, let me just check to make sure I've done everything I'm supposed to do over here. I don't want to get home and like, you didn't record, you didn't hit record. All right, we record. Cameras record. Cameras are recording. All right. So, it is my honor to introduce you to a person I've known for, damn, Troy, it's been about 20 years now, right? In 2004, something like that when we met. Troy Taylor is a Grammy Award-winning producer, songwriter, and the visionary and CEO of Songbook Entertainment. He has helped shape the sound of R&B for over 3 decades. Hailing from New Haven, Connecticut, Troy began his career as a recording artist signed to Motown Records. Then, in the process, he landed 2 songs with Boyz II Men on their iconic debut album, Cooley High Harmony. His unparalleled talent has led to collaborations with legendary artists such as Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, while his work with Chris Brown, Trey Songs, Tyrese, and Jacquees, to name a few, has cemented his status as a force in modern R&B. Known for his dedication to artist development, Troy has mentored rising stars and is committed to preserving the soul of R&B through rich melodies, storytelling, and authenticity. A true innovator, he continues to inspire both veterans and newcomers alike in a rapidly evolving music landscape. Please welcome CMII's newest artist in residence, Mr. Troy Taylor.
Thank you.
The last time I introduced you to a class, I read a really long bio, so I tried to shrink it down a little bit because you got a lot of stuff.
You could have put that in AI and that would have done it.
That is AI.
There you go. See, I ain't
so
gonna
we
tell
being
you.
honest, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the AI building, so
Yeah.
we are honest about it. All right, so Troy, what I want to do is have a conversation, and I want to kind of start at your beginnings, not like when you were a kid, but like your beginnings in the music industry. And as I mentioned in your bio, you were actually signed to Motown as an artist.
Yeah.
You know, for those of you who don't know what Motown is, and if you don't, you probably shouldn't be in this room. But sometimes they don't know, so you have to explain. You can't take anything from them.
Hold up. Who don't know what Motown is?
Okay, everybody here knows
Okay,
what Motown
I was about
is.
to say.
Okay, but do you
no
know the
judgment.
artist that was on Motown? So we're talking Stevie Wonder, the Jackson 5, we're talking Marvin Gaye, we're talking the Temptations. Okay, so now we know what Motown is. But you were signed as an artist to Motown. And then in that process of, I think, recording your album, you had the opportunity to play some music, and you placed 2 songs with Boyz II Men. It was just 1991, I think?
Yeah.
91, for their first album, as I said, Cooley High Harmony. So my first question is, how did you end up getting signed to Motown, man? Like, how did that happen? And then I have a follow-up question after you answer that.
So I worked in record stores when I was a teenager. If mom said I have to get a job, then what better place to get a job than a record store? Keeps me close to music, of course, and more importantly, it keeps me reading credits. I got a chance to read the credits, and it seemed like things that I would like, songs that I would like, artists that I would like, or it was this particular name that I kept stumbling on, and his name was Timmy Regisford. And the more I kept seeing that name, the more it just got embedded in my head. So being signed first on the independent label that I was on, when they asked me who did I want to get to mix my first single, I just threw his name out there.
Threw it out there.
Yeah, literally.
Shoot for the stars.
Yeah,
Land on the moon.
why not just say it? And ironically enough, they knew who he was. And they not only they knew him, they got him on the phone and scheduled a mix.
So let me make sure I'm following you. So you were signed to an independent initially.
First,
and
yeah.
This Motown thing happened because you requested an engineer to mix.
Well, no, he was actually a record executive, but he, you know, back then he did a lot of mixes for people.
Okay.
And he was actually an A&R on Motown, but I didn't even know about that part of him. I just knew that he was attached to records that I liked. And I saw that he mixed and did remixes, so I just figured, hey, I would like him to do it. I didn't know he was an executive at that time at Motown. So yeah, that turned out to be an extra thing.
Okay. And so he gets the song that you want mixed, and he's like, I got to sign this dude. Like, how do you go from I want to mix to like, I'm going to sign you to Motown?
This was my first time ever going to a mixing session. Being New Haven, Connecticut, basically an hour, 35 minutes, depending on how you drive, to New York. This would be my first time going to an actual mixing session with the board and everything. So I had this idea. Since I'm gonna meet Timmy Regisford, I thought I'm gonna get 3 of my songs, and I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna try to find a time to play him more music in these 3 songs. But I don't want to play him the songs. I want to play him the beat. And hopefully he'll ask if I have songs to them, which I do, but I'm not going to play the songs. I'm just going to play the beats. And then hopefully I can find a way to get another meeting with him outside of that mixing session. So another day. So that was my plan.
So listen, so how old were you, Troy? Like, because this is a very
20.
detailed plan. This is well thought
20.
out.
Yeah, I was
so
20.
You're playing chess. It's like, I'm not just going
And
to
I
get
don't
this
even know
meeting.
how to play chess.
Me either, but I understand the concept. Right? So,
never tried.
So your whole deal was like, I'm going to have this meeting, but I want this meeting to turn into additional meetings.
Yes.
And so
Outside
what I'm going
of
to do
that
is
session, yep.
chance, because this could have worked negatively too. Because he's going to be like, yo, it's incomplete. You're not ready.
Yeah.
But,
exactly. That's a big
so
chance
the
I
music
was taking.
spoke.
Mm-hmm. So while he was mixing, he took a break. And when he took a break, he went into the lounge and he had the boombox on the side. Y'all know what a boombox is?
They don't know what that is. They lying.
Y'all know what a boombox is, right? Okay. So he had the boombox on the table while he was eating. And so I went in there and I thanked him for mixing my record. And then I asked him if I could play him some more music, because he said he liked the song. So he said, yeah. So I gave him my cassette. Y'all know what cassette is? It's just so funny.
It is. It's actually hilarious.
Yeah.
Only to us. They're not amused.
Yeah. So he put it in, and he played the first beat. He played the second beat. He got in the middle of the second beat, and he said, where's the songs? So I was like, oh, I have songs to them. He said, I want to hear the songs. I said, I don't have them with me, but I can come back.
Right.
And so that was on a Monday. He scheduled a meeting at Motown on Wednesday. So it worked.
As the young people would say, you finessed them.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Is that right? I got to check because y'all changed.
Yeah.
I mean.
Right. Exactly. No, that's not what we say now.
Okay. And so just to speed this up a little bit, so you get the second meeting. You come in now, you got completed versions of those songs.
I got those songs, and I got a bag full of cassettes of songs that just, music,
Right.
music. And so stop there for a second. The point of that was, while you're waiting to be discovered in anything that you're doing, you should be stacking up. You shouldn't even be worried about what's not happening. You should just be getting ready for what you want to happen. So in that case, me having a bag full of cassettes of music, that was just music I was doing at home, just doing it.
Just because you loved it.
Yeah, just because I love it, stacking up. And when he saw that bag full of cassettes, he asked me, he said, you got songs on you got songs on all these? And I was like, yeah. So he put in the cassette and he just played a lot of my music. And it wasn't record executive company professional sounding, but it was enough to
give
make
it-
him
to know
see
who you were.
Yeah, that I know what I'm doing.
Not mixed and mastered. And all
Yeah,
that
and it
cool
sounds
stuff.
good. It still sounds great, for something to be done in my room
And probably on a 4-track.
on a 8-track. Actually,
8-track. You said. Okay.
Yep.
8-track,
so,
reel to reel.
No, I got that later.
Okay. 8-track.
So do y'all know what an
Tascam
8-track?
Porter Studio or something like
You
that.
know what an
They
8-track
don't.
is? You know what an 8-track is? I love it. I love it. I love it.
They're learning.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Okay.
So yeah, it worked out. And long story short of that, building a relationship with him, I kind of, in thinking back, I kind of think that he felt like, why are you on that label? Like, why are you? So he grew a special liking to me to the point where he ended up buying me off that label and signing me to Motown.
So he paid for he paid them to get you out of that contract.
Yes, he sure did.
Dope. Okay. So now you signed to Motown, right? Yeah, Barry Gordy, Motown, New York, right? So they moved to New York, or probably L.A. Was their main office in L.A.?
Well, there was one in New York and one in L.A. So when I got signed, there was one in New York.
Okay.
And L.A.
And L.A.
L.A. Yeah. So I was
Okay.
known as the New York
side
Yep.
of it. Okay. And you're working on an album as a singer, songwriter,
As an
but
artist.
you're also producing yourself.
Yep.
All right. And so we know you as a producer.
Right.
I don't think anybody knows you. Did you release anything on
Nope.
Motown?
Nope.
Okay.
Sure didn't.
All right, so
Can't find it. No, you won't find it.
You got it somewhere.
Yeah, I do.
It'll pop
You
up
won't hear
somewhere.
it.
So, what was that transition? How did you go from I'm signed as an artist, I'm going to be a singer songwriter on Motown, to I'm producing for Boys to Men, which at the time Boys to Men was nobody.
They were
yet.
kids.
They were kids, right?
Yeah, they were young, 15, 16, and two
Michael
17-year-olds.
Bivins, right? Bringing them in, but they became huge, and that album was
Yeah.
huge when it came out. So what happened in the process of you're going in this line, in this direction to be an artist on Motown, to pivoting to being on the other side of the window, as we say?
Well, because I had so many songs, and they had artists on Motown, of course, Timmy would just pick songs, and he would ask me, "Are you doing this, for your album?" And I would say no. So he, Gerald Busby was the president at that time. So they had I had a meeting with Gerald Busby and Timmy, and Gerald would have a pad. He had a pad, and he wrote 2 groups that were signed to Motown on the pad, and Timmy would play the songs. And so he would take the songs that he liked or whatever, or if he thought this song would be good for this or that group, he would put it, write the list down. So I had so many songs to choose from. So ultimately, these songs would be for Motown artists. My idea was Babyface. You know how Babyface was an artist and still wrote for other people?
Yeah,
that was
Babyface, especially then. Babyface
yeah, that was my
killing it.
Yeah, that was my kind of like my motto. I want to do like him.
So that leads me to my next question. So Babyface was an influence, and I think you still hold him in high
Still
regard
is,
to this
yeah.
day. But who are your biggest musical influences, and how did they impact the sound that is Troy
I
Taylor?
have so many. Quincy
Give me-
Jones.
okay, we
sure.
got to start at Quincy. And rest in peace to Quincy. We
yeah.
just lost Quincy 2 weeks ago.
Quincy's the ultimate example of what a producer is.
Yes.
And then Teddy was coming up on that time. Teddy Riley, he was coming up.
Yeah.
Teddy, Jam and Lewis, L.A. and Face. And then we go to some jazz. Jeff Lorber, George Duke, Herbie Hancock, Bob James. These are people that got my ear sharp.
Right.
You know what I mean, when I was a kid, I just listened to stuff. And then we go back to Earth, Wind and Fire, Billy Joel on that side, because I like yacht rock.
Yacht rock. Yeah.
I know what yacht rock is.
I do.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
the songs.
She knows
but
what
you
it is
don't
'cause I
know that
listen
it's
to it.
called yacht rock.
Right. You
Yeah.
definitely know.
I learned that later. Matter of fact, I learned that maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, what it was called all these years. It's 70s music, but it's called yacht rock. I
The
didn't know that.
Bee Gees.
Yeah, that's yacht rock.
Yep.
Christopher Cross, a lot of that stuff. So
Dope music.
I grew up on that, and just hearing that and arrangements. Kenny Loggins was a yacht rock artist. Michael McDonald was a yacht rock artist. So these artists, this type of music was borderline rock, but R&B, and so it just trained my ear.
Yeah, those were the artists when we were young. You heard them on the radio. We didn't have music videos. You didn't know that they were not
White or
African
black.
American,
Yeah,
right? You
Bobby
you
Caldwell
loved the
was
music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And so sometimes you'll see him, you're like, oh.
yeah. Like Bobby Caldwell, Brian McKnight actually told me Bobby Caldwell was white. I didn't know. He's like, you know he's white, right? I'm like, well, no.
Really?
No way. Yeah. And he said, no. I'm just like, I promise you, I was in LA when he told me. I went straight to Tower Records and I bought every Bobby Caldwell CD I could get. To this day, like I have all his albums.
All his albums.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at that. You know, yacht rock, what you saying is soft rock, but R&B-ish. Mm-hmm. I feel it leans a lot more R&B-ish.
And it's jazz too.
And it is jazz.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about R&B and how, you know, like the people that you name that influenced you, the range and breadth of music that they created is far-reaching. I mean, even if we just do Quincy, right? We can X everybody else. We just do Quincy.
Yeah.
Then you're talking Frank Sinatra. And people know Michael Jackson, but we're talking, you know, Sanford and Son. We're talking,
Count
you
Basie.
name it, Count Basie, Ray Charles. You know, we're talking everybody. Yeah. I mean, 60, 70 years of just genius, right?
Yeah.
With how R&B has evolved over the years, and you've worked with legends who had connections with a lot of your idols too. So, and we're working with legends like Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and then transitioning to working with modern R&B artists like Trey, Chris Brown, and Jacquees. How are you adapting to the change? Because there is a change, but I know part of this answer because I know you well enough to know what you're trying to do and what you do in your music that you produce. But what does that pivot look like? What does that adapt? Hey, I'm in the room with Aretha. That's not the same as being in the room with Jacquees, I'm assuming.
No.
It's a little bit different, right? So what does that pivot look like? How do you adapt to moving in between those rooms and being, you know, competent and successful in both rooms?
I was a huge Aretha Franklin fan. Some people that I've worked for, produced, I've never even imagined ever working with them, and Aretha was one of them. Aretha Franklin, that was never on my
bucket list.
Nah,
yeah,
because she's Aretha Franklin. I have
right.
no business being in a room with Aretha Franklin. What am I doing? I mean, you know what I mean? So when the opportunity came, wow. But to watch her work, to see how she records.
Because she comes from before DAWs and computers.
She came
and before.
You got to know the song before you even. You got to know the song before you even get in the studio.
Right.
You got to know the lyrics and the melody and everything. There is no lyric sheet. You got to know the song and you record straight down. There's no punching in.
Yeah, not just know it. You got to be able to execute.
Yes.
That was
the best session I've ever had in my whole entire career.
The Aretha Franklin session?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
So you learned.
I learned why she the queen. That's what I definitely learned. Because,
tell us a little bit about that. I've heard part of the story before.
So
tell us a little bit about
I was working with her, and so I was scheduled to work with her, and she at these particular sessions she wanted to do it at home. So they set up a little thing in the dining room and by the hallway kind of thing, and so they made it so she can record. So I come to her house in Detroit, and we get ready to record and sit down. And then as soon as it's time for her to go in, she goes into the booth that they made for her. And she just goes and sings from top to bottom like 6 or 7 times. Each time, though, is a little flip. Like she would do a little flip on this track. On this particular take, she'll do another version of it, or she'll... But just watching her do this straight down, I'm just like, and then she comes out, let's see what you can do with that. And I'm like, all of the tracks are good. The heck? What am I doing? Am I supposed to?
Take stuff out, right?
So I just go through them all and just find, parts that I like more than others. And then find places where she didn't necessarily sing the melody.
So is this a vocal producing session?
This
Are
is-
you
this-
doing the beat or is this?
This is me producing her vocals, but I did produce the
You
song.
did the song too.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I'm just like, okay, funny. She's in the kitchen cooking because we at her house. So I just like, Aretha, I need this line. Come on now, see, for me to be like, hey, Aretha, I need this line.
Right. Who am I to ask Aretha for a line?
Wait. First of all, I'm in her house, number one. Number two, hey, Aretha, just stop right there. That was weird. Like, hey, Aretha, I need this. Okay, what do you need? And she go back in, and I give her the melody that I need, and she would sing it. But just watching her executing with no problem. Oh, this is my mom. Execute with no problem. Hey, Ma. I'm having my seminar, so you interrupted it.
Hey, Mom.
No, that's okay. No, it's okay. I was just calling you before we started.
Oh, okay.
All right, call you back.
Will I be able to see it?
Yes, we're recording it.
yes,
And
they're
make sure your
recording
mom
it.
can see.
Okay.
All right, bye.
You gotta love that.
Yeah, oh my gosh, my mom's 79.
Absolutely.
So yeah, just watching her record and just execute everything. And she took a break, and then that's when I'm nosy. If you was in her house, you'd be nosy too. I just started walking around, looking at stuff, and she was somewhat of a hoarder. She had stuff all kind of like everywhere, a wig over there, a gown too over there, and I'm like, I know because I remember when she wore it. I'm like, oh, I remember she wore that, and like boxes of everything, like stuff that she ordered online. And I know that because I order online. So I saw a couple of things that I ordered that I didn't try yet. So I'm like, Aretha, does this really work? You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. But I walked over to her piano, and that's when I discovered part of her genius. She had the lyric sheet on the piano, and on the lyrics, she had little notation marks of things she's gonna do on these certain lines. What? She already knew what she was gonna do before I got there. And she had, and I'm like, yo, let me tell you, we didn't have this yet. This was 2003. When was the iPhone?
Something like that, 2004, maybe 2006.
I thought this came out in 2007.
Yeah, it's about right.
Anyway, we didn't have this, so I don't have the pictures and the videos I would have taken.
Right.
If I had, you don't think that I would have hooked up right there? For sure. And so I have nothing but the stories to tell, but just seeing this, it was just incredible. And she ended up growing a particular liking to me. So she would check in with me, she would call, and just to say hi. The funny part is, she would always call from a new number. It was always like no ID,
Yeah.
And so one day I just had to ask her. I'm like, Aretha, why are you always calling from a new number? And she laughed. She said, just trying to, stay away from them. From them. From who, Aretha?
Them.
Them bill collectors. I'm like, what? You ducking a bill? That was funny.
Crazy.
That was so funny.
The first connection I made to you with Aretha was on Trey's first album. And so when Trey first let me hear his first album, he had this shout out from Aretha Franklin. And I'm like, hold Trey. What the hell is Aretha Franklin doing on your album?
Yeah.
And then he started telling me the relationship that you had with Aretha.
Yeah, because at that time and at her house at that session, I was like, because Trey specifically, Ahmet Ertekin is the one who,
Atlantic.
Yeah, Atlantic. And so he met Trey, and he said to Trey, you're going to be a star. He told Trey that. And at that point, he was like 80-something years old. But because, the history, when I'm with Aretha Franklin, I figured, okay, look at my pattern. Watch this. Remember when I said in the beginning, I figured I'll ask Timmy, you never know.
Right.
So I was like, I figure I'll ask Aretha if she would give me some ad-libs on Just Gotta Make It.
Just Gotta Make It.
Just give me some ad-libs. But what I did was I told her that Ahmet Ertekin said that he was a star. And so she was like, okay, I'll listen. see what. You know. So I showed her a picture of him. She said,
with the
"Oh,
braids.
he's cute." yeah.
This is Trey with the
He's
braids.
cute. Okay, well, let me hear it. And so I played it for her, and so she said, "What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Huh? What you want?" I'll just play it and press record and whatever you do. And so that's what she did. I played it. She just ad-libbed. And then I said, give him some words of encouragement or whatever, which ended up being the thing at the top of Trey's first album. So if y'all don't know this album, it's Trey's Gotta Make It album. It's the very first one. And the first thing you're going to hear is Aretha's voice, which is incredible. So she did it for me. Like, what's the point in listening to this? It never hurts to ask.
Right. Yeah.
What, they can say no? Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
let's move forward a little bit with, again, I know you from Trey and working with him as a teenager and helping develop him, but you've worked with so many artists before him and after him since as a mentor and helping develop, talent and helping people achieve their dreams. So what do you look for in an artist? Like what can someone do and you're like, there's something there that I can mold and shape? What is it? If you can give me like can you put your finger on it? Because I know what I've learned from you over the years is that it's more than just talent.
Yeah.
Like talent can only get you so far. There's charisma. There's so many other things that I watched you develop in Trey, from the Trey I knew recording in my studio with Ilyas to what he became as a star. So what is that?
I don't think I know. I just know when I see it, and it's a feeling. Like when I met Trey, he was 15. He's just some regular kid. It wasn't nothing that stood out. He was skinny, had big feet. His hair wasn't long enough yet, so his plaits.
Had them little plaits.
Yeah. But there was something in his eyes, that, that I saw. It's like a like, oh, okay, you got something.
Right.
You got something. Hold up. Let me see. I believe at that time I didn't really believe that I knew what I was talking about up to that point. Like my whole career, I knew what I knew, but I didn't know what I knew. I knew I felt, but I didn't know it was real. I thought maybe, yeah, but, and it would come into fruition. And so I would always think that, that was gonna happen anyway. You ain't know nothing. So fast forward, at this point time and present of my life now I know. So when I see it, I'm familiar with it. I don't know what is gonna happen with it, or how I can just say, okay, boom. It's like the diamond in the rough thing. I can see something before it's there.
Right. But in order to turn that into a diamond, there's a work ethic that needs to be there. Because I hear you talk about, when I hear you on your, by the way, Troy Taylor TTU on Instagram, where you share all of these stories and anecdotes and working with artists, I hear you reference working with Trey a lot and how well he took direction and he never really questioned. Whatever you said, he did it because he trusted you. And I remember him coming to my studio, and like the outward appearance of Trey was more Ilyas, if you know what I mean, than Songbook, urban, right? Very street. And he would, in between our sessions, he would put on these CDs that you gave him with just like all of this classic R&B. I actually still have a couple of those CDs. I was like, Trey, I gotta get a copy of that. And he told me that those were CDs that you gave him just to learn, just to listen and learn and listen and learn and listen and learn. And it was just odd that that's what he was listening to in between sessions. Knowing him, knowing what we was doing in the studio. Right. Was like, you know what I'm saying?
He's listening to this music and y'all up there
like rap. Right. But I loved all of that music, but I was producing gangster rap music, right? So how hard is it to find that in an artist where they do listen to any and everything I know the answer to this, but I'm asking you because I want you to tell them.
Well, the kids now, if they don't know it, they don't know it. The end. They're not curious to see what it's about. If they're not familiar with it, then it doesn't hold their attention. So with Trey, he was a rare, super rare breed. If I said listen to it, he listened to it, but not just listen to it because I said so. He felt like there was something in that I need him to learn, so he's going to listen to it. And that's what he did. Today, I'll tell someone to listen to it, and they'll listen to it, but they won't study it.
Won't study it. Right.
It's a difference.
It's
so I would have to tell them, like, I need you to study it. Do you know that studying something is not as hard as you think? For example, if I said to you, listen to something, you could actually go to sleep listening to it. Your brain is going to pick it up. And how your brain registers and picks it up and channels it, it's going to come later. You're going to be in a session, and you're going to hear some harmonies, or you're going to hear something. 9 out of 10, it came from that music you fell asleep on, because it just waves. It just comes into your head. You don't have to listen and study it and write it down and all that. Just listen to it, whenever you're chilling or whatever. And that's what Trey did. That's why he did it in breaks. He listened to it because it was training his ear.
Yes.
And so what I gave him were the things that I listened to growing up. So that was kind of a test. Again, I didn't know if I knew what I was doing, but I figured, let me just give him what I learned. And if he takes it and learns from it, then wow, this is actually a system. Right. So watching him do it, and when Trey would come to visit, it's so funny when I drop him off to we was staying at his grandmother's house. We would sit in front of the house late at night just because he didn't want to leave until the songs were over. He had to hear them.
He had to hear them.
Yeah. So he was definitely a rare kid.
Definitely rare.
16-year-old.
He was. I remember I left Trey in the studio one time, and you know how if you're the producer in the studio, nobody sits in your seat, kind of like, don't mess with this, I'll be back. And I came back, and Trey was recording himself.
Yep.
And I'm like, yo, first, what are you doing in my seat?
Right.
But second off, how the hell do you know how to do, these things? Like, he was taught by you how to record itself. Enough about that.
No, but wait. I told Trey, I'm not going to always be with you. So I need you to know how to do this yourself. And I do not ever want anyone to call me and tell me you didn't finish something because you didn't know, because they weren't there.
Because they weren't there.
Yeah.
Right.
If they're not there.
He took those words literally.
Right. Yeah. He got in your seat.
Yeah, but it was fine because he knew what he was doing.
Right.
He told me that I was the first studio that he was able to record over 8 tracks. At the time, he had an M-Box. And you remember the M-Box at the time could only do 8.
Yep.
4 stereo, 8 mono tracks. So I had Cubase, and I had unlimited tracks. So he was going crazy.
Yep.
No, I got a song with 80 background vocals. I'm like, Trey,
that was him
enough.
practicing.
Right.
Yep.
So I know, you've had this long career, close to 30 years, I think.
That's 35.
No, 35
February
years.
coming.
Okay.
Yeah,
so for over 30 years in the industry, I know it hasn't always been peaks. There have been valleys. What has been one of the most challenging, or some of the most challenging things that have faced you career-wise in that process, and how did you overcome those challenges?
You know what's funny? Career-wise, my career part wasn't as bad. It's the personal side.
Okay, well, I didn't want to get in your personal business.
Well, no, because no, it's not that. It's for example, the third album, Trey's third album. Who knows Trey's third album? Ready? Y'all know that?
No,
Ready. Yeah, Trey's second.
The one.
Yeah, the one that broke him into stardom, Ready album. And if you guys don't know this stuff, please, after this, go listen to it so you can, get familiar with it. But that third album was his breaking point. If we don't make it work on that, he's getting dropped. But ironically, I was turning 40 and I was going through a divorce. So this would probably be the hardest part of my whole entire life. How am I going to make sure this boy don't get dropped and make sure he does the best music he can and going through this part of my life where I'm the brokest, downest, broken to pieces, so many pieces, like it's so many pieces that it's liquid. You know how broke that is? You know how broke that is? You know what I mean? So I had to stay up and separate myself. Personal, let God do that. And then you could focus on this. Just trust God, he gonna handle that. But you gotta focus on this. So I'm like teeter-tottering between the two, and I'm trying to figure out, ain't nothing I can do about that. But I could try. But no, you can't. Just focus over here. So that was the hard part. The music industry and all the changes that we went through, and the industry changing. I done seen that happen like 5-6 times. This being the worst.
The one now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you about that, so don't hop over there
Okay.
yet. Okay, I can ask you that now.
This being the worst. That was my introduction into this being the worst. Yeah.
So, great transition. So, with the rise of, streaming has happened, right? So you've been there.
I still don't get it.
Me neither.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
we'll talk
weird.
about that
Streaming
offline.
is weird. I don't
so
care what nobody
streaming, then social media, big part of helping Trey in his career, and a lot of young artists you work with. And now we have artificial intelligence that's coming into the field. So what do you think is the biggest advantages of any of these and disadvantages?
Well, let's talk about AI.
Let's talk about AI.
Pro Tools is AI.
Okay.
Auto-Tune is AI.
Auto-Tune is AI.
Go back to Pro Tools, because no more tape.
Right.
It's on a computer.
Right.
And then when it formed into having endless tracks, or anything that helped, drum machines is AI.
Okay. Kind of.
No, it is. Because
so that
you can program it. It's
right.
just not self-done, because we had to evolve. Now we're in evolving.
So where we at with generative AI is what I'm talking about. So yes, all of those things, I teach the same thing. All of those things have some form of artificial intelligence.
Right.
It makes our work
now
more
this is the
convenient
next
and
level
easier.
of artificial
Now we're at the next level where we're typing in prompts and
Yes.
sitting back and like, hey, listen to this track I made.
Yeah. They still haven't gotten the feeling right yet, though.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever will.
They're going to try.
They're going to try.
Yeah.
They are trying.
They're
They're
trying,
going to try. They are trying.
I personally, I don't know about, the kids don't know what to listen for feeling. So if it sounds good, it just sounds good. But me, I can tell when it's not all the way there. First and foremost, okay, so let's talk about the fact that when we talk about AI assisting us in music, then you're Xing out God. And the reason why it was given to us, gifts and talents was given to us. Do you think he would allow AI to disrupt what he gave us? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I rely on that more so than anything.
Right.
Yeah, man could do as much as man can do, but there's only about a certain limit that, is going to go. And that feeling, that emotion that
the vulnerability that you find in songs.
That's from God. AI can't.
But you do know that the labels are investing in and attempting to, because it's a bottom line business. They are not necessarily artists in the way that you are. They're executives and they have a bottom line. They're trying to make money. So if I can eliminate middlemen, which could be artists, songwriters, producers, I don't have to pay mechanicals. I don't have to pay these sales royalties. They're already not paying anything for, like, there's no such thing as selling a record. It's like everybody's just renting records.
Yeah.
Right? So the more they do that, the more they collect and the more we get pushed out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but then that means there's no more concerts.
Right. And that's the part that you can't.
You can't
AI.
do that. What you gonna do? Go get somebody? Hey, listen, we want to hire you to sing these songs.
Right. I don't know. But the crazy thing is we know they're going to attempt it.
They're gonna try.
They're going to attempt it. So are you using any AI tools in your process?
Some stuff. I tried it. Okay, so I like the process of coming up with stuff.
That's it.
Yeah,
though.
I like the process, because people ask me, like, Troy, what do you do when you're not doing music? Music.
Right. But
that's fun for me. So AI is going to take the fun out of it to me.
Right. So
Well,
what you just said though, Troy, I think is you said more than you said because the process. That's how I look at it. The process is the art. Like
Yeah.
I mean, if I do this because I love it, you do it because there's no way in the hell you had this long a career if you
Right.
didn't love this.
Right.
So you are not looking for something to take the thing that you love away.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're like, oh, that's cheating. I don't want to do that. No,
Right.
no. I love this. I love figuring it out. Now, I've tried AI to like I've messed around with some stuff to make samples.
That you could then sample and chop up and use how you want. Right. That's how I'm
I've
looking
done
at it too.
I still haven't come to anything that I really like, but Splice does it.
You try Rip X yet? Rip X? I'll introduce you to it. It's a dog called Rip X. Okay, let's move forward because we could go down this AI rabbit hole, and I want to give you a chance to do some show some of your music. Let's see what I want to ask you next. Let's go here. So pop and hip hop have dominated the charts for years, right? Hip hop, I think, for the first time last year, kind of took a step back. What role do you think R&B plays in the current music industry, and how can R&B reclaim a larger share of the market that it once had in the 70s, 60s, and things of that nature?
I don't know. I think it's coming back though, because a lot of our generation are going on tours and they're touring. That's picked up now. Before it was like, Trey and all of them trying to get, well, Trey never stopped touring actually. Is that a battery going out?
No.
They're touring now, and that's starting to pick up. So that's R&B. People are going out to see these groups and these acts, Mario, Omarion, and you know what I mean? So that's picking back up, which means that the level of R&B is coming back, the feeling. And not to mention, hip-hop is doing some ridiculous things now, personally and musically, that's getting, I think the general audience are getting sick of it. Just the dumbest things. I mean, I don't understand. Like, you finally make it to success, and then you just do stupid stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Which means that you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Two more questions, then I'll let you go and do your presentation. So, what do you think students and young creators can learn from, like, what is your golden era of R&B? Like, what's your favorite era in R&B?
I'd say the 90s.
The 90s? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you think young people, this generation, can learn from that era that they can apply to their music? And I know you have a lot of answers to that.
No, that's the feeling. The feeling of it. I think they can learn because the kids hear it, they love it. They just don't know how to reproduce it.
They don't know how to reproduce it.
Yeah.
Those songs had, when we get to the 90s, we still had songs that had structure of an A, B, C, and sometime a D section. Whereas we went through an era of R&B more recently where you just have an A section, really, and maybe a chorus, and then we go back to A. So I've heard you talk about bringing the bridge back. And I always wondered as a hip-hop producer why hip-hop producers didn't experiment with bridges in hip-hop, in ways to just add dynamic to a music production.
Yeah, I don't think they can hear it.
I can hear it, sure.
You can hear it, but they can't.
I feel you.
Yeah.
All right. Two more questions. You've done some master classes and some mentoring, of course. What do you enjoy most about teaching? Because I see you as a teacher, like, you got the Troy Taylor University. I've watched you work with Trey and other young artists.
Yeah, first of all, that's for the record. I know this is taboo to say, and I say this all the time, but I have to say it because I keep it real. I hate school.
This is not the right place to say
I know that. So everything that goes with school, teaching,
But you're a teacher.
I know,
you're
that's the ironic
teacher.
thing. That's the.
You're a natural teacher.
My ex-wife said the funny thing. She said, for someone who doesn't like school, to TU, Taylor University.
Right.
She was right. It's
right.
crazy. It's like, I don't like
you can't
the
help
idea.
It. You love it.
I do-ish, like-ish, kind of like-ish. I think I just don't like the teacher
title.
Yeah, the title of it, the institution of school.
Right. Well,
I like to educate,
right,
guide,
without the restriction and
Yeah,
formality of the
teaching
institution.
seems so in a box.
It can be if you're in the
so
wrong
I
place.
think it's ironic, and now I'm a doctor. It's like I got a PhD. Like, it's so weird. It's so contradictory.
You can't help what's been given
so
to
I've
you.
embraced it. I've embraced it, but I say certain things like that to tell people that just because you don't like it don't mean you can't do it, and just be the best at it. You know what I mean? I fell into it. I don't fight it anymore, but I still let people know that just the ironicness of it, the fact that I could not wait to graduate, and then only to end up being a school.
Well, I mean, you met me 20 years ago, and I had no aspirations of being in a class. I mean, you knew that me.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I would be a professor at college.
Very personal, very to yourself.
Right. And so, but what I realized too is that I had been teaching all along too, like with the artists that I was working with, and people in my city would come to me to learn things. So I had been teaching in some way, shape, or form all along, and same with you. And here now at the Art, I'm about to say the Art Institute. Here now at the Creative Media Industries Institute. Stop it. You are also embarking on a journey where you're going to be doing some teaching here in a sense, because we're going to do some workshops next semester where you're going to be working with students. Can we talk a little bit about those?
Yeah.
And then I'll let you get over there. So you and I kind of brainstormed. I had an idea of you doing like this one kind of workshop on music production, and then you kind of expanded into these boot camps, I think we're going to call it, where there's going to be a production boot camp, songwriters boot camp, and a recording boot camp. Am I right? Those are the three that we talked about, right? So can you give them kind of your like bird's eye view of what that kind of is going to look like, or how we plan to do that?
Well, so first and foremost, let's go back to me not liking school and all that. But the thing is that's what's more important is not whether I like it. What's more important is if I expect the new generation, the next generation, to be able to do good music and feel good music, if I expect them to do that, the least I could do is teach them and show them how to do it, because they just don't know how. It's not that they don't like bridges, they just don't know how to channel it and get into it. So if I'm going to expect it, then I need to teach it and show them how to do it, which then turns into a passion to enough to do this with you and come here and just give the kids an opportunity to understand how to approach it.
Right. And that not knowing how to, a lot of times they push back against learning the language of music.
Yes.
The theory behind music, like how do you get from this chord to that chord and then get back where you came from? Like that stuff is important.
Yeah.
Tools have made us lazy to say it's not that important because I can push this button and I got to hit, but yeah. Last question, Troy. What's one piece of advice you would give your 18 to 20-year-old self?
I would tell my 18-year-old self, it ain't even music related, actually.
That's fine.
It's okay. It's okay to divorce.
Interesting. That's deep, Troy. We'll
I told you it wasn't music related. It's okay. I held on to the fact that no, I am not going to continue the cycle that was going on in my family on my father's side and on my mom's side. So I held straight on that. And even when I knew that it wasn't gonna be, I stood strong on it so I will not break, so I can break the cycle rather than to say, Troy, it's not working, it's not gonna, she's not there, she's not here anymore, it's not, connected, and she doesn't have a desire to do it, let go. And so I would tell my 18-year-old self, it's okay. It's okay. I didn't do it, but it's okay if it happens.
I wonder if you had told your 18-year-old self that if we would have got ready.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. I mean, granted, a lot of that I went through is the person that I am
today.
Now. Oh, yeah, for sure. I learned so much going through the divorce that I had to laugh, because there was two things that God told me to do. Two things. Remain blameless and don't lose your integrity. So throughout the whole time, when she was being mean and unnecessary, I didn't lash out. I couldn't lash out because if I do, I'm gonna be blamed.
Right.
If I lash out, I'm gonna lose my integrity to do so. And that was just for him to show me, I get it. It doesn't feel good. It's not fair, but I got you. So now when we talk about the Ready album, sheesh, and everyone says it's a classic,
It is.
I laugh. I'm like, it's a classic now, but because I couldn't focus on that, I had to focus on this.
100% on that.
And that made that album, when I listened to that Ready album, from every millisecond to it, my all went into it, to the sequencing, down to the second, to when the next song starts, to everything. So
I was there for some of that. I saw it.
So you know, it forced me. It forced me to get more into this, right. And it pushed me into focusing on that because I had to let that be what it was.
Dope.
So now I'll open the floor up for you to ask questions. Oh, thank you. Yeah, if you have any questions.
Jacquees, you got a book of questions.
Yeah. How you? Oh yeah, I'm on that mic. Yes. How you doing, boss?
How you doing?
Appreciate you a lot. So, question number one. No, I'm gonna do one question. So do you think your ability to like understand what's core about someone's style and being able to replicate that just comes from overall just how much music you've listened to and really just training your ear? Because I can even see, well, just, you know, I don't know a bunch of terms. I do listen to a bunch of music, and I'm in his class, so I know a little bit. I see a lot of threes, and even in the other song, I guess the kick or something about the drum.
Oh, you talking about the Logic session? This is the Pro Tools session.
Oh, yes. Even on this part, though, like I don't know if it's the ad-libs, like they're in threes in the sections and stuff, but...
It's fours. And so everything is stacked 4 times. Sometimes it's not, sometimes I'll do 2, but in this case, everything's 4. Just make it big.
And I'm talking left to right.
Stacks on stacks. All this is the same thing. I just copy paste it, but the core is here and just stacks.
That's like a harmony thing, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, just if you could speak on your ear and really being able, because some people listen to a lot of music, but I know there's levels to like hearing, and not jugging something.
So I'm really, which goes back into the reason why I like to do this is because I'm so giddy and quirky about stuff like this. Now, when I was in nursery school, see how I went back? When I was in nursery school, there was a radio that was on the windowsill. Do you hear what I'm saying? I was in nursery school. How come I remember that? The radio on the windowsill and the music that came out of it. Though I'm playing with the kids and you know, there was something about songs that I was hearing that I didn't understand that I was hearing until I would hear them years later and hear what I was hearing. So I knew what I knew, but didn't know what I knew. But I remember I was studying all this time. Example. All right, this is the Carpenters, which goes back to yacht music. Harmonies. This is what I was hearing. How much time I got? This is what I was hearing when I was a kid. And I remember it because when I listen to it, I can actually see everything around me every time I hear it. So between that and church, my ear was always doing it. So when I got to a certain age, I remember always harmonizing to songs. I would never sing the song how it goes. I would just sing the harmony notes. But I didn't know I was practicing. I didn't say, you're gonna sing the harmony notes. I just sang the notes that I thought was going good with it. But I was practicing the whole time and I didn't know it. So I was training myself without knowing that I was training myself, if that answers your question. Kinda.
Hi. Oh, hi. I am Lakita. I'm a professor here at Georgia State. Hip hop studies, no musical ear whatsoever. I just analyze rap lyrics. But my question for you is, I have two questions actually. One is that Booker asked you for a bird's eye view of what your workshops are going to look like next semester. So could you detail those? And then my second question, of course, is dealing with hip hop. What is hip hop doing wrong? You didn't explain. How is it so wrong?
How is it wrong?
Yeah, I think that's. Wait a minute. Let me look at the question.
Well, they're dying. They're saying all kinds of crazy. It's like a challenge. How much crazy things can you say?
Oh yes.
Go.
Yes.
It's like the most outlandish thing. It's almost like a contest.
Yes.
Can you say no? See, my next song is gonna be crazier than yours. Now I'm gonna say WAP. How about that? I'm gonna say that. What does that stand for? Oh, we know what that means. Oh my gosh, can you beat that? Oh, here comes Sexy Red.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah. She's like, no, I got something better than that.
Yes.
So it's like a challenge to see how outlandish you can get. Not lyrical,
Nope.
not awareness, not melodic. You know what I mean? It's like we've come down to that, really. And so I think that everyone is starting to get tired of it, and I think that R&B is starting to feel good again. So I think R&B is winning by default because they're going so deep down the hole of disgust that no one wants to hear that anymore. And it's sad because they're ruining the whole essence of hip hop. So, yeah. Okay, and
The other question was
question.
just the workshops.
We're still working it out, but I think this is kind of like how it will be. Like I'll get a chance to break stuff down, break songs down, how I hear it. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll figure out ways of doing that, and then teaching how to get your ear to do it and challenging you to do it and figure it out. We'll figure it out.
One of the things we talked about, Troy, was actually taking students through the process of creating a song. So leading off with a production workshop where we have students submit beats. We go through those beats, listen to see if we find something there that we think that we could turn into a song, take those producers, tie them into songwriters, do a songwriting workshop where we help them come up with a song, learn about arrangements, all of this vocal stacking and stuff that he's talking about that would be in the recording session where we talk about vocal production. So we want to take students through the process so they'll realize that it is a process. It is not just push a button. I think, well, I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but people a lot of times think that music is so easy to do. That's why so many people, I think, jump to it. And then you get there and you realize the art form and how much work is involved in it. And so I wanted to bring a technician in who could demonstrate that, who had the cachet to show that and show students how to go through that process. And I know Troy, and I know Troy's not going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? I know he's going to ask for perfection. And so to go through that process, so you hear it from us in class all the time, it's like, all right, Professor Edwards, all right, you know how students are. But for him, I think that's the idea that we kicked around. We are still fleshing it out, though.
Yep.
Okay, Mari's my man. He can get in. All right.
So while you're walking back there, and so the whole thing is, people think that I'm like persnickety. Y'all know what that word means? Persnickety. Like very
stuffy,
very particular and shrewd and just like picky. And I technically am, but but for the feeling, not for the perfectness. It's for the feeling. People thinking I want it to sound perfect. I don't. I want it to feel right. It's the little crackety things in your voice that makes you feel stuff. When I go back to this, and this is stuff that I remember feeling something when I hear it. So if I go back to How She Broke, see, auto-tune would catch that. And auto-tune would catch it and make it, it won't let it fall off. So you lose that feeling. So it was little stuff that I'm a kid, and I'm like hearing the break in her voice, and if I don't hear people do that, to me, they're not singing it right. You know what I mean? Like, everything she's saying, like, you feel the emotion of what she's saying. So, to me, being a vocal producer in today's time, and I was back in the day, that was real hard. I was really hard on people. Like, because I wanted the feeling, not because I wanted it to be perfect. And that's the thing where people misunderstood me. They thought I was trying to make it perfect. But I would get people mad, so mad that you would end up doing it by default because you're mad at me, which evokes a feeling. And so I'll go, thank you. And they'll be like 2 hours later, that's what you wanted? I'm like, yes. I did that before. No, you didn't. You didn't. Let me tell you why you didn't. Because you was trying to make it perfect. And you weren't, I guess, frustrated enough to mess up for me to get what I needed. You get what I'm saying? It's deep. It's real deep. It's real deep. It's why music is not doing what it used to do, is because it's being stripped of all the emotion, and everybody's just going for the perfectness of it, and it's only lasting but a couple of weeks, because the song will come out, you listen to it maybe, and I'm being nice when I say a couple of weeks, and you have everybody say that something came out, and you'd be like, yeah, no, I heard that. You literally only heard it once. But in your mind, you heard that. And now you're on to the next. What? Yo, do we study? What study? I'm still studying Thriller. Still. Like, and now I'm getting the sessions. Because, that part. So, yeah. All right. Next question.
Hey, how you doing? My name is P-Jax. I'm an artist out of Gwinnett County. Mm-hmm. I had 2 quick questions. But actually, I just want to shoot hip-hop some bail. I think hip-hop is in a straight place, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. But the first question for real was actually, you were talking about working with Trey Songs, like, especially super early in his career. And, you know, his time when he came down to Atlanta to work on a lot of his early stuff, and when, I guess, Drake came down here, too, they have, like, legendary stories. Like, if you go to any studio in Atlanta, they'll tell you, you know, what was going on with Trey Songs at that time. So as much as you can, you know what I'm saying, as much as you can say, what do you remember about that time? And, like, how do you balance that lifestyle of, you know, like, we turned up in Atlanta, but we actually trying to work on something, too?
I don't understand that question. Do it one more time.
Like, we did the stories that we heard about, you know, Trey Songz sessions or his time coming down to Atlanta. How do you balance, you know, like, the lifestyle that he was going through with, like, actually working?
Okay, so that was something that Trey learned early. Like, he said when Trey would come to his studio when he was a kid, he would end up being in the seat, and, you know, everything else is going on, you know, because Trey is hood. He's straight hood. He's not even, but after he met me and me explaining to him how deep, because he said he wanted to do this. So to me, my thing is, if you want to do this, show me. Because if you can't show me, then, you know, saying it is cool, whatever. Well, he went back to Virginia and he really was serious. I didn't know he was going to be that serious, but he was. And just hearing the stories, it's like, wow, I didn't even know that stuff that he just said today. I didn't know that that's what Trey was doing around his peers. You know what I mean? They must have been looking at him like, what you playing this music for? What is this, Trey? You know what I mean? Like, Trey was a huge Jeezy fan. Before Jeezy blew up, he was playing Jeezy like killer, like, He was a rapper, and that was the thing. I met him because he wanted to sing. And so that's how I ended up meeting him, to tell him if he could sing. That's how I listened to him sing, and he had to show me that he really wanted to do it. So going back to your question, Trey knew how to separate. He knew how to separate what he needs to do musically or whatever, what needs to get done from the surroundings of. And he'll have everybody around there, everybody just, you know, he'll have his headphones on, and he'll still lock in because it's what he wants. So how could you let somebody stop something you want?
So he stayed focused. He never let that, at that time, bother his, from what he needed to do. But you should know this. Troy Taylor doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, never did drugs. I don't know anything about out of my state of mind. I've never ordered a drink before. So when it goes there, I leave. That's not what I'm there for. So, they have fun, but I don't see all that stuff because I'm in the room. Trey knows me. He knows me really well. So he's known when they're up, okay, I'm out. And I literally just go into my own world of whatever. So do I see things? Nah, because I don't want to see nothing. How about that? I don't want it in my mental. You know what I'm saying? So I keep my mental. It's going on 35 years in February. Do you know how much crap I've seen? I shouldn't even be standing here. I should be angry, technically, of all the crap I've seen. But as evil and disloyal and crazy and demented as this game is, there's only one thing that makes everybody same page, check in on you, care about you, just see how you feel and answer all your calls. You know what that one thing is? As evil and crazy as this music industry is, there's only one thing, and don't say the money because that ain't it. Money makes it worse. No, because the music industry has zero love. Zero, like none. Huh? Nope. Music industry has zero integrity. Like, first to go is your integrity. Like, yeah, no. You know what that is? Exactly. A hit record. Hey, yeah, I was just checking in, see what you're working on over there. Yeah, no, you got something else? You can send me something. Yeah. Because they want that hit record. A hit record makes everybody loyal. It keeps them checking in on you and because they want to hear a hit record. And they will be your bestest pal. And soon as you give them a kind of record, it goes back to not answering your calls, not as fast. And the text, a couple of days later, they'll respond back. Hit record? Yo, what up? What you doing? Right away. You heard the list of stuff that I don't do since I was a kid. My dad died of drug overdose. My grandfather died of alcohol. So when I was a kid, it was like, I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing that. My brother on my dad's side died of drug overdose. He's the one that found my dad, and years later, he died of drug overdose. So in my mind, I'm already setting I'm not doing that. Just like I said, divorce was big in my, I'm not doing that. So if I get into the music industry and I see myself surrounded by all the things I already said I'm not doing, it's about me. If you can't keep your own word to yourself, oh, you're terrible. Forget everybody else. To yourself. Like you say you're not going to do something and you keep doing it, yeah, you're doomed. You know what I mean? Don't even make a promise to anybody else because you can't even keep your own promises to yourself. So to me, I got into the music industry because I love it. A lot of people get into it for the control, for the status, to replace something they never could be. And now all of a sudden they can be it finally. And then with that, you got to keep that up. And then you lose yourself. I've never lost myself, thank God, because I got into it for the right reasons. And the passion to be standing here you could tell in my body language and my facial expressions when I'm showing you stuff, I allow myself to be vulnerable and geeky because I want you to see how it makes me feel. So I'm not going to be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, word. No, that's not how it makes me feel. It makes me feel quirky and geeky, so I'm going to be quirky and geeky to let you know that it's okay to be quirky and geeky with something that you love. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm so into that right there that all that other stuff, nah, you can have that. I'm cool. I'm good. So, you want to dig a little deeper? Go ahead. 'Cause I know you.
That's crazy, bro. Firstly, thank you for being here. My name is Kevin Lester. I do stuff here. That's just I do a lot here. That's neither here nor there. Firstly, my question was, well, I'm gonna start off with a bit of a story. I was in the car and you know I'm driving, and I'd say I listen to R&B the most. So I'm just, you know, I'm in the car driving the little thing, and I don't know what it was. Out of nowhere, it popped out. Troy Taylor, you the GOAT, and it's a Ye Ali song, right?
Yeah, Ali.
Cold as hell. So it's crazy how, you know, I would then be here a few weeks later, but I guess I bring that up to ask this question about the new, quote unquote, the newer R&B artists and acts that are coming out. What is your general opinion as to the state of like where it's going with those newer voices and these newer sounds? Because, and I ask this because there's been a bit of it's a social media argument, so it's not a real one. But there has been a bit of a social media argument where people are saying, oh, well, there was a time period in about 2015 where things started shifting a little bit, and it seems like we're seeing the clock being rolled back into, you know, more so of that earlier era. So I just wanted to know about your thoughts on it.
No, explain a little more, because I'm lost. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to be so, yeah, I'm trying to
No,
put it to
say
you.
exactly. Say it. Don't try to figure out a way to. Yeah, just say it like. Say how you hear it.
I'll say like when I'm in your office just talking. Okay. Do you believe in this more modern contemporary style of R&B where it's vibes, or are you feeling more so? Are you leaning more so to that older style?
Vibes. That word, vibes and content. Those two words.
Okay, so let me just say like this. A vibe. The only thing I can say about that word vibe and the music and the sound is that we don't have really hit records with it. We just got feeling. A vibe can be changed with the click of a vibe could be changed by the wrong sound at the wrong time. A vibe can be changed by clicking on a light, right? You can ruin the vibe if you, bro, I had the setting. Bro, that sounds too loud. It can change like that, right? So making songs with vibes, it's not solid because the minute that vibe changes, you're out of it. But when you get a record that's a great song, it don't matter what the vibe is, that record is still great no matter what. And we get so close, we get so into the vibe of it to be cool for the moment. It's a feeling that the music is stuck in that moment. And as soon as that moment changes, the music is, you know what I mean? As opposed to you still playing it when the vibe changes. So that word vibe kills me when it's like, yo, that's a vibe. Dang it. I need to work harder. I need to change it. So yeah, if that answers your question. Okay.
What's going on? Thank you for being here. It's Carl, aka Kizzy Neutron. I'm an artist, producer, soon-to-be engineer, hopefully. So my question was, so I speak 8 languages, and I know you had done some stuff with Tyler before, so I was curious about how you navigate working with international artists and other talent.
It's, you know, funny. When I worked with Tyler, I didn't know what I'm a piano was. That was my first time. I didn't even know. I'm me, dummy me. I'm like, where's the piano? She said, I was there too, vocal producer. So I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. And she kept playing like different songs from her neighborhood. Not even songs that she recorded, but the beat. Yo, the beat was so hypnotizing, so crazy. And then I just kept hearing this sound. I'm like, what is that? And she said, oh, that's the log drum. I'm like, that's a bass. No, it's the log drum. Now here I am trying to figure out what is it, how do I get it? Only to find out it's a Fruity Loops thing. Dang it, I don't do Fruity Loops, I'm sorry. But I found the VST, so that changed that. But I went on this whole thing for 2021 to 2022 to learn this sound. Yeah. And I got really, really obsessed with it
to make sure that I got the feeling of it, not just learning the technicality of it, because I know log drum is a feeling. You can't, everyone's gonna do it differently. There is no, you're supposed to do it like da, 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 da. No, you have to, it's almost like you have to close your eyes and just do it and feel the pocket. So I had to learn that. So I'm just really getting into it. And I've been working with a few South African artists, but I have not been over there yet. I'm looking forward to doing that. So, yeah.
How you doing?
How you
Good
doing?
to see you again, Chris. So with us both having a background coming from church, how influential was, you know, records like, or groups like Commissioned and, you know, listening to John P. Key or even Kim Burrell as far as, you know, what you're doing now within the R&B space? That's question number one.
So of course, even in nursery school, I was in church too, but I would always hear the difference between what I was hearing on the radio and then what I'm hearing in church. So I was able to, like, okay, in church they do it like this, but in pop music or on the radio they do it like that. Okay, so I knew how to not go too far this way or too far that way, because if I didn't want it to be too churchy, I won't do those type of harmonies. So, but if I'm in church and I'm doing a churchy, I don't want to do that because then it sounds too sterile and too safe. So I guess, again, my hobby is music. So it just made me dive in so deep into like analyzing. You know something? It's so funny because you guys know who Shirley Caesar is, right? And you guys know her as being old and, you know, very church mother-ish. So let me play you something that Shirley did that nobody knows really about, right? Let's see, because you ain't never heard her like this. You say so? Come on now. When I was a kid, I was 9 when I heard that. And I was like, whoa, hey, wait. So I wasn't into the choirs. I was in the Andre Crouch and the Winans and Commission and the Clark Sisters and Vanessa Bell Armstrong. You know what I mean? Like I was into that because it sounded R&B-ish. So my ear was always R&B, even in the church. So I still kept that. You know, the core of me is comes back to R&B, but a lot of that R&B comes from this anyway. So, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question. I just wanted to mess you up because I know you ain't never heard Shirley Caesar sing like that. Nah. Not too many people have. They don't know about this. And you're like, First Lady. What? Look at that. Look at the cover. It's an R&B cover. Like, that ain't no church cover. Like, I can't even make it big, but you know what I mean. You see it. She looked like I was awake. I thought she was Shirley Caesar's gospel. When I was young, I thought that I heard Jesus, but that wasn't no gospel music.
Okay, let's give Troy Taylor a hand. You know I appreciate you, man. I say, you know I appreciate you, and we'll be doing a whole lot more of this. I thank you all for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Russell.